working for an NGO called the Global Diversity Foundation, who are basically into promoting biological and cultural diversity and who work with indigenous groups around the world. The mission of the project essentially is to improve the food security of the San people living in this area in Corridor. There's about 650, 700 San people living here, all of whom are living on an extremely simple diet of maize meal, porridge and sugar and tea and the occasional meat. And so their nutrition is poor and they're in a state of somewhat dependency basically on state welfare. So you've got a group of indigenous people who previously were able to hunt and gather and maintain an independent subsistence through that, who are no longer able to hunt because it's become illegal and because the fences that have been put up have interrupted the wild game and driven them away basically in competition for water. So this project was to try and enable them to regain a sense of independence by means of growing their own food and securing their own food supply. The project started in June, gardens started in September. We've got 17 gardens at the moment, spread among 2 villages, about 10 of which are harvesting and 7 which will be harvesting in the next month or so. The project's got stuck on a number of issues, mainly being water and accessing a secure water supply, and we've overspent on improving water infrastructure, enabling every household to have their own taps. So we're looking at trying to secure more funds to spread to different villages. We aimed to start this project by doing a school garden at the local primary school at Motsumi, where there are 450 students. But we have been unable to start there because they don't have a reliable water supply. So we're really looking at trying to get a new borehole for that school to enable us to then build the school garden, which will improve the food security and nutrition of the children's diets at the school, and also enable the kids to learn how to make their own gardens and grow their own food, so that when they grow up they can do what their parents are doing now and run their own gardens. We're looking for a further £50,000 for the project, 30,000 of which will be to improve the water situation at the school by drilling a new borehole so that the school children, those 440 students, can have water all day long instead of interrupted water supply. Improve the hygiene, build the garden, water the garden and enable the kids to eat from the garden and learn how to do their gardening. Then a further 20,000 will enable us to continue for a further year and build gardens throughout the rest of the corridor with other San villages living in other areas here. Gardening skills and enthusiasm and motivation and an interest in indigenous cultures, and also an ability to live out in the bush and manage without a shower and without a flushable toilet and all the rest of the things. They'd learn about San culture, they'd learn about gardening, they'd learn about how to run a project like this, how to run a development project, so anybody that's interested in development work, this is a perfect opportunity. They'd learn how to live low impact and sustainable living. They might learn how to build their own hive. They would learn about water management and water conservation and irrigation and basically about living out in a remote area of the world.